Part 61. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 601. Without desires, one is strong. This is the feeling given to her by Su Ling'an, who is standing in front of her now. Having exhausted all her tricks, Lin Yi's courage and strength were almost exhausted. It was okay that she was an unforgiving shrew before, but she is not. It was the first time in my life that I did something like this today. As soon as the anger was released, the whole person collapsed obviously. Su Ling'an also breathed a sigh of relief when she saw this. She wasn't afraid that this person would keep pestering her, but she would be very annoyed. This is a waste of time for her. You really don't care about any feelings at all. Ms. Lin, your daughter is not worthy. Haven't she forgiven her once? But what happened in exchange was that the other party got worse. This time, she will not be soft-hearted. I don't even want to disappoint my sister. During her previous filming of the role of Princess Jinan, she heard a lot about her understanding of the role of Princess Jinan from her sister. She could feel that her sister liked this role both in and out of the play, but she also felt helpless about this role. That is because the Princess Jinan in history was too soft-hearted, and the powerful armor of the royal family could not protect a heart that was too soft. But she wanted to try to protect herself and didn't want her sister to touch her hair, so she sighed helplessly. You. Lin Yi looked at the increasingly bright and eye-catching eyes in front of her, couldn't help but look away, and turned around in despair to leave. Inadvertently touched the stone pillar supporting the pavilion. Her shoulder was sore from being hit. She covered her shoulder and looked at the stone pillar, gritted her teeth, and prepared to make one last effort. One of the roommates who came over couldn't help but screamed, and hurriedly raised his head and covered his eyes. But after waiting for a few breaths, he didn't hear the sound of his head colliding with the stone pillar. Then he spread his fingers open a slit and looked through the slit. I saw the young lady named Chang Ning grabbing Ms. Lin Destiny by the collar again and forcefully pulling her aside. The stone pillar is so beautiful, how could you think of staining it? It's immoral. 3 people watching, you are an expert when it comes to heart stabbing. But before Chang Ning could finish, he turned around and yelled at a group of evergreens behind the pavilion. The one who hides his head and shows his tail only to let his wife charge into the battle should be Mr. Zhang. He's hiding there without fear of being pricked by pine needles. Come out and get your wife, let's go, we won't be responsible if something happens again. There was a sudden buzzing behind Divan Qing, and soon Zhang Anfeng with a black face appeared in front of several people. Facing the surprised looks in the eyes of Su Ling'an and her 2 classmates, it took a long time to resist the urge to raise her hands to cover her face. What a shame. Walk. Lin Yi almost cried out of grievance when she saw her husband, but she was afraid of being blamed when she returned, so she didn't move her feet for a while. Zhang Anfeng reached out and grabbed her arm and pulled her. Why, don't you think it's embarrassing enough? Chang Ning had no scruples at all when he saw this, and continued to mock without mercy, incompetent and furious. Zhang Anfeng pulled Lin Yi away and immediately moved faster. When the 2 figures disappeared, Su Ling'an withdrew his gaze and turned to face Chang Ning. Thank you, Sister Chang Ning. Chang Ning hurriedly waved his hand. Thank you, it's a trivial matter. Sister, ask Sister Chang Ning to come here specially to help me deal with the 2 people just now. I think they won't come to me again after this time. After dinner, you can go back and follow me for me. Say thank you, sister. Chang Ning knows why Sister 11 is so interested in such a sister who is not related by blood. Tian Tian is soft, and she has a clear mind, a bright eye and a clear mind. She is also a well-behaved and cute little cotton-padded jacket. Even she looks like she has a sister like this. Good. Sister Chang Ning is free. Welcome to Bji. I'll treat her to dinner. With your words, I won't be polite when the time comes. By the way, remember to change the dressing on the wound on time, Chang Ning said, and started from. He took out a small bottle that he had used once before from his pocket and said, "This is for you, it's better to use." Su Lingyan did not refuse and took it obediently. She also wanted to get well soon so as not to worry those who cared about her. "Thank you, Sister Chang Ning." "Good." Chang Ning came suddenly and left gracefully. Hands in his pockets, he quickly disappeared from the sight of the remaining three people. Su Lingyan looked away, took out his phone and checked the time. "It took me so long, I'm afraid I won't have time to take a lunch break after dinner, boss." And second brother, "I'm sorry." The dormitory eldest sister, referred to as the boss, said, "If you're sorry, we came here ourselves." The second child nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. "But then again, are those two people really your uncle and aunt? In terms of blood relationship, it is true." The two of them patted the youngest on the shoulder, one on the left and the other on the right, with comfort. Having such a pair of relatives is really better than not having one at all. As for my aunt, she knelt down in front of the younger generation in public. She clearly wanted to ruin the youngest. "Boss, I heard what you just said. Why did you spare your cousin and was seriously injured? What happened?" "Of course, if it's inconvenient to say, just pretend that I didn't ask." The second child, moreover, the young lady named Chang Ning just now is so powerful. She must have been trained. Is she our sister's bodyguard? Let's go eat first and talk on the way. It's really inconvenient to do things at home. I hope you can understand. I don't know if Sister Chang Ning is a bodyguard or not. This is also the first time I've met her. Asterisk. Zhou Lingyu just learned from her assistant that Zhang Lingzi sent an invitation letter to the International Fashion Festival after the dinner last night. Suddenly, I felt like a slap in the face came out of nowhere. "Didn't you tell me earlier that it's interesting to hide it like this? I don't have a masterpiece, but I'm pretty good at making tricks." As soon as she finished mumbling, she saw the assistant sitting in front of her hugging the tablet and said, "What's wrong? Is there something that I can't finish in one breath?" No, Sister Lingyu, I just saw a post from a blogger saying that Zhang Lingzi's invitation to the International Fashion Festival was a forged image and text. It already has hundreds of thousands of views and a lot of comments." He took a breath and said, "I have compared all the invitations that have been published online. Zhang Lingzi's one is indeed different from the others." When Zhou Lingyu heard this, she continued to listen patiently. She immediately grabbed the tablet and said, Okay, I'll see for myself." After reading the whole picture and text, she couldn't help but chuckled happily. Let me just say, just because Zhang Lingzi's status as a celebrity, she was able to get a place at the UN family charity dinner. She probably borrowed it from being with her. The vice president of the Calligraphy and Painting Association who walked on the red carpet looked so good at an international fashion event. I'd like to see how she can keep up with this lie. Tong Yu naturally noticed this doubt. Seeing that this picture and text were getting more and more popular, maybe it could even become a hot search topic. Knowing that Zhang Lingzi probably wouldn't pay attention to the internet, she simply made a video call. Should we make it clear that this is an invitation letter written by Mr. Casso himself? By the way, do you have any photos of you and Mr. Casso at the show before? Send me one and I will share it. Put it up and it will be more convincing. Zhang Lingzi was looking through the so-called questioning picture and text. When Tong Yu finished speaking, she said lightly, I didn't take the picture, but I don't need to explain it. Ah. Sister Tong, tell me, why did my invitation letter go out last night and Gu Jiantong also sent out hers? The heat is still on top of me. Coincidence, coincidence. Let them question whatever they want. I don't read these comments anyway. How can they make my invitation disappear out of thin air? Besides, don't let the popularity go to waste. Please send me a private message to thank this person for his hard work in writing this blogger with pictures and articles. Tong Yu, that's right, Then I'll add to the fire. Whatever. Hang up the video. John Lingzi looked at Gu Qintung's invitation letter again. Then he tilted his head and looked at the figure walking to the incense burner to light incense. I thought in my heart, the blue color is a disaster. Well, the fragrance has changed. What kind of fragrance is it this time? Cuckoo, tastes like pine, warms, ventilates blood. She silently picked up the ginger tea she was preparing to quietly cool down. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 602. You're really good at it. I've only been in the studio for less than a week, and the pictures and texts you published have already been on the hot search. This month's bonus will definitely be indispensable, and I'll have to treat you to dinner. Zhang Yao was slapped on the shoulder and woke up in a daze. When he heard the word hot search, he suddenly became excited. Last night, he originally wanted to do a review of the major celebrities who attended the UN's charity dinner, but was overtaken by the studio's seniors. He was worrying about what theme to change when he saw the most popular topic at the dinner. Two people, John Lingzi and Gu Jiantong, sent invitations to the International Fashion Festival online. One was voted the best on the red carpet by the public that night. Even the signature was discussed for a long time, because some people really tried to steal the signature boldly and were caught on the spot. The hand-painted items were also auctioned for a high price of 10 million, which can be said to be a fruitful harvest. The other one is even more remarkable. He spent hundreds of millions to buy 2 grand finale antiques, which caused the whole internet to shout miss, and the accounts on various platforms increased to millions of fans overnight. After clicking on the photos of the invitations posted by the two of them, and looking at the invitations posted by other celebrities, a bold idea suddenly came to his mind. He just did what he said, outputting the message, and worked hard until midnight. He copied and pasted the pictures and texts into his account and clicked to publish. He saw that the number of views increased by the second because of Zhang Lingzi and Gu Jiantong. He was exhausted from not sleeping for most of the night. They were all driven away by adrenaline. It wasn't until I came back to work from the studio in the middle of the morning that I brought him food. After eating, he fell asleep with his head covered, and then he was woken up by being patted. Clicking on the sleeping computer, Zhang Yao saw his private message bar flashing before he could click on today's hot search list. Click it easily. Zhang Lingzi's agent Tong Yuvi, thank you. Zhang Yao. Did I send it to the wrong person or was I just confused? But none of this matters. Without thinking too much, after closing the private message, he found an entry closely related to him in the middle of the hot search list. Hashtag Zhang Lingzi International Fashion Festival invitation letter was suspected of being forged. Hashtag. The first picture and text he clicked on was the picture and text he published early in the morning. He remembered that before he went to bed, he had only had more than 10 million views and now it was almost 50 million. The number of comments has reached more than 100,000. What little sleepiness was left suddenly disappeared without a trace. Having spent most of the night comparing the patterns and fonts on the invitation, and even restoring the areas that had been mosaicked, the workload is not small. But at this moment, all the hard work is worth it. Click to open a comment. His fingers opened the comments excitedly. It can be seen from these comparison pictures that the blogger is really attentive, otherwise people would really not notice such little details. Zhang Lingzi's team is not good at fakery. It was exposed just after it was posted. I asked if my face hurts now. I have finished reading the pictures and articles posted by the blogger, but I am still a little confused. If you didn't receive the invitation, you didn't receive it. Following Zhang Lingzi's current trend, as long as she makes no mistakes, she will receive the invitation sooner or later, so why bother to forge one? Drinking too much at night, your brain is muddled and you are impulsive? It's been almost a day and Zhang Lingzi's team has not responded yet. Could it be true? I believe Zhang Lingzi, who stipulates that the invitation letters must be exactly the same. There are differences between ordinary VIP guests and VIP guests. Invitation letters can also be graded. Please see clearly, Gu Qintung's family background is enough. Her invitation letter only has one more handwritten invitation than other celebrities' invitations. How can Zhang Lingzi, a bankrupt daughter, have more weight than Gu Qiantong? I am just waiting to see if Zhang Lingzi will appear at the International Fashion Festival. Ordinary people can actually travel to international fashionable towns. Maybe they can go there as tourists and take some street photos, which is barely considered a trip, haha. The key point is that only with an invitation letter can you stay at the hotel designated by the organizer of the festival. You can also enter the hotel as the female companion or male companion of the invitee. Maybe you have found someone willing to take her. Are you planning to follow up and report on it? Is anyone going? Zhang Yao was a little moved. If he could continue to follow up, wouldn't he be able to directly rise to the top and become a famous blogger just by relying on such a picture and article? The more I think about it, the more feasible it becomes. He liked the comment that provided the idea. After closing the comment, he opened the document and wrote a funding application form with the studio boss. International Fashion Festival, here I come. Asterisk. At this moment, Zhang Lingzi didn't know that someone had already decided to rely on her to become a blogger with millions or even tens of millions of followers. She was now pouring tea with Changning, who had returned to life. Sister Xia 11 Changning picked up the teacup and drank it in one gulp. Sister 11, you were right. Those couple are really unworthy. They specially chose to rush out to that girl and when everyone was going to the cafeteria to eat after school. Kneel down, I guess this is not the first time this moral kidnapping has happened, it's such a slippery slope. What did Anan say? That girl didn't live up to your hard work. Speaking of it, the way she talked to her aunt was a bit like you, haha. I think her aunt was a little stunned at the time. She probably didn't expect Anan to meet. Be so tough. Zhang Lingzi nodded to express satisfaction. That's good, thank you for making the trip. You are so polite to me. I also like that girl Anan. The sound of footsteps came from the door. The two people sitting at the tea table turned their heads and looked over. While Changning Malu stood up, Zhang Lingzi replaced the tea in her hand with an jujube tea without leaving a trace. Half of the red carpet last night was outdoors. Although the dress she wore was quite thick, it was still much thinner than the cotton down jackets worn by normal people. In addition, I was a little emotional because of Su Lingan's affairs. It was already late when I returned to Z1, but I still had to take off my makeup and wash up. I didn't go to bed until the early morning. I woke up with signs of a headache this morning. Someone said forcefully, this ginger tea is the only tea she can drink today. Although her surname is Zhang, she really hates edible ginger. Sir, Sister 11, I'll go back first if you need anything, just call me. Changning finished speaking and left. Shen Yunqing sat on the chair vacated by Changning. Looking down, he saw a teacup with only a tea bottom left in front of him. Qingshan Yunwuo. Zhang Lingzi's expression remained unchanged, her heart did not beat. She held the cup and took a sip of the ginger tea. She frowned and swallowed it. I brewed it for Changning. Shen Yunqing didn't expose it either. He changed the cup and poured himself a cup. Is the headache better? Much better. It's better to be good than not. She doesn't want to drink and jujube tea tomorrow. The boss of the Bai family called me. Hid it without telling his mother. It seems like I can't bear it anymore. The old lady wants to betray everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, X. Press 11. Chapter 603. It wasn't until the police entered the Bai family's old house with an arrest warrant that Tang Jiayun knew what her eldest son had done behind her back. He actually personally reported his own nephew and went to the Shen family to seek peace. Even her own mother kept it secret. Bai Shenjiao is still recovering from his injuries in his own yard. Even if he is restless, he does not dare to go out, even his own yard. He could feel that his uncle and aunt were looking at him more and more displeased. He is not stupid. All he can do at this time is to hide his head and wait for his family to help him solve the problems outside, and the Shen family and Zhang Lingzi have stopped pursuing them. Then it will be time for him to show up again. He had to wait patiently. Then he waited until the police walked in front of him with an arrest warrant. Bai Shenjiao, you are under arrest. It wasn't until the silver bracelet fell on his wrist and the cold and hard feeling spread to his nerves that he suddenly realized that this was not a nightmare he had often had during this period, but a reality that could never be more frightening to him. No, after being pulled up and seeing his grandma chasing after her on crutches, Bai Shenjiao shouted without thinking, "Grandma, Grandma, save me, Grandma." If this was an old lady who didn't understand the law, she would still risk everything to get back her beloved grandson. But Tang Jiayun, as a dignified old lady who didn't often move around, was out of breath even if she could run after her, let alone someone from the policeman with an arrest warrant. Facing his grandson's request for help at this time, he could only maintain his dignity and suppress his emotions to comfort him. "Don't be afraid, Shen Yu. Grandma will find you the best lawyer. It will be fine. It will be fine. I don't know whether I am comforting my grandson or myself." Seeing Bai Shenjiao being forcibly taken away by the police, the dignity that Tang Jiayun had barely maintained collapsed in an instant. "You bastard, bastard, bastard," he cursed 3 times in a row while gritting his teeth and tapping his cane. "Where are the others, boss?" The old housekeeper hesitated for a moment whether to say anything, but seeing that the old lady was so angry that she was about to push her away, he took the initiative to confess, "Master is kneeling in the ancestral hall." Tang Jiayun's anger suddenly froze. The ancestral hall displays the ranking of the ancestors of the Bai family. It was in the ancestral hall that she punished her grandson for doing wrong things. She said, looking at how badly she has punished the child, "Can the elders and ancestors not care about this child's crime? Wrong psychology." Even if she is still angry about this betrayal now, the most severe punishment she can give to her eldest son who will support the Bai family in the future is to have him kneel in the ancestral hall. You can't just expel people from the house in a fit of anger, that's the root of the destruction of the Bai family. But now, before she even gave the order, the person had already knelt down of his own accord. How could she punish him for this? Humph, he is conscious. The old housekeeper has watched the eldest son of the Bai family grow up. In the past few days, the old lady has insisted on fighting with the Shen family for the second young master. In just a few days, the old man has been tortured by the old lady's insistence and seems to have aged several years. Thinking back to the figure kneeling in the ancestral hall that I saw before, and looking at the depression and the increasingly heavy twilight on the old lady's face at this moment, I couldn't help but sigh in my heart. What is this? But no matter how many thoughts he has in mind, he is still just a housekeeper. The only thing he could do was to comfort him. My uncle has always been filial, and this time, he probably had no choice but to do so. "Madam, uncle, the light in the study room has been on all night these days. The temples are whiter." Tang Jiayun was silent after hearing this. How could she not know that her eldest son was dissatisfied by her blind protection of her grandson, but the second son and his wife left her with a grandson whose palms and backs were full of flesh. In the end, we got this result. The grandson who dotes on and protects him fails to protect him, and the eldest son whom he always values is separated from his heart because of this. Even lost many favors left by her husband and made enemies with the Shen family. Thinking about it this way, it seemed that I had left everything behind in the end. Instead, I had lost too many important things. My straight back was visibly bent. The old housekeeper looked on and felt sad for a moment. "Old madam." Tang Jiayun waved her hand towards him. "After the boss kneels down in the ancestral hall, let him come to me. The boss is forcing her to make a choice, and I have to say that he wins." The grandson begged her to save his life, but she couldn't. This is Shen Yunking's method of the Shen family. She has finally seen it this time. Asterisk. Bai Shenjiao was arrested, and the first people to know about it were naturally Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunking. The uncle personally went to report the illegal things his nephew had done. The door of his house was leaking and there was a strong wind. No matter how talented the old lady of the Bai family was, she couldn't fix it this time. The next person to know about this was Han Jiaojiao, and some people who had had similar experiences to Han Jiaojiao were also quietly paying attention. They also quietly established a small group. Now, while I feel that a big deal has been achieved, the chat content in the group has also changed from the previous cuddles to comfort and encourage each other, to discussions about whether to attend when the case is officially heard, and who is willing to attend. The group was extremely excited for a while. Active. After these days of treatment, Han Jiaojiao's voice can barely make a sound, and the doctor allows her to speak a little every day. The upper body can barely move. The group was counting down the list of people who were willing to be there in person, and Han Jiaojiao was the first to sign up. She has nothing to lose now, she just wants to kill the devil and his two companions in one fell swoop. Pei Xinyuan came over with flowers and saw that there were several lists of names in her mobile phone group. "Is this the person who is going to attend with you?" "Well," Han Jiaojiao replied in a hoarse voice, "everyone else has their own concerns, but a few of us are enough. Mainly because they are miserable enough and have the deepest hatred. Bai Shenjiao is from the Bai family, and he is also well known in the entertainment industry. When this case is heard and pronounced, it will probably attract a lot of attention if you attend." Han Jiaojiao thought about her friend's words with a smile on her face. "I don't care anymore. In bed these days, in addition to relying on my hatred for people like Bai Shenjiao and waiting for their retribution, I am also trying to convince myself to accept this situation. What I cared about before is no longer so important after my rebirth." Pei's heart can't help but be silent. "By the way, Xin, I would also like to trouble you to remind Sister 11 or Director Wei as soon as possible. Now that Bai Shenjiao has been arrested, when the case is heard, someone else will definitely be involved. Cheng Qian, who was in Bai Shenjiao's room that night, he gave me the key card. Empress Yuan Zhao is the hard work of all of you, so don't let him ruin it alone." "It's him." Pei Xinyuan's eyes widened. "Why did you?" Han Jiaojiao smiled bitterly at her and said, "Bai Shenjiao has not been arrested, so even if I say it, it will be useless." Pei Xinyuan couldn't help but take a deep breath. Cheng Qian can only be regarded as a middleman at best. If the culprit can escape the blame, then of course he will have nothing to do with the middleman. As long as Bai Shenjiao entered, Cheng Qian could not escape. Thinking that the drama was still being intensively produced and edited, Pei Xinyuan also knew that this matter could not be delayed. "I will call Sister 11 right now to remind me." The only thing she's glad about now is that the character played by Cheng Qian doesn't have many scenes, so there's still time for reshoots. Otherwise, it would be just one rat droppings that spoiled the whole pot of porridge. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 604. Pei Xinyuan's call to Zhang Lingzi didn't go through and the line was busy. I called the satellite navigation number again, but the line was still busy. Could these two people be talking on the phone? Pei Xinyuan knows the truth. Zhang Lingzi was actually on the phone with Wei Xiao, and the content of the call was nothing more than discussing which actor to use to reshoot the role of the general played by Cheng Qian. After the eldest son of the Bai family called the Shen family and decided to stab his own mother in the back, and at the same time said that he would send his nephew to prison obediently, Zhang Lingzi called Wei Xiao and told him the unfortunate news. It's not that I didn't think of reminding her when I learned that Cheng Jian was the promoter of Han Jiao's accident. But at that time, there was insufficient evidence to convict the culprit. Naturally, Cheng Jian, the promoter, had no sufficient reason to replace her directly. You may even be slapped shamelessly by the other party. It would be better to wait until someone beats the person to death. It will be much more convenient then. It may be a bit tight on time, but she believes that the satellite director can overcome it. Wei Xiao, big head. He also knows that this matter must not be taken lightly. Fortunately, there is still time for reshoots, but the time he left for himself to rest a few years ago may be compressed to almost nothing. Turning around, he stopped the editing of the scene involving Cheng Gan and urgently searched for actors who were currently available and suitable. Out of caution, when Wei Xiao found a few relatively satisfactory actors and notified people to come over for auditions, he specially made a video call to Zhang Lingzi. He intuitively felt that this girl was more accurate than him as a director in judging people or choosing roles in Empress Yuan Zhao. After all, Su Ling'an, Pei Xinyuan, and Mr. Shen were all recommended to him by Zhang Lingzi. There is no need to question their character and their performance in the play. Zhang Lingzi did not come to the scene and watched the entire audition process. In the end, the two of them each selected the candidate they were most satisfied with, typed it and sent it to them. Wei Xiao breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the name. It's stable now. Zhang Lingzi. Hang up the video, she saw a call from Pei Xinyuan. If you call her at this time, you can almost guess what this girl wants to say to her after a little thought. Cheng Qian's role has been replaced, and director Wei is working hard to prepare for the reshoot, so don't worry. In the ward, Pei Xinyuan saw the news that Zhang Lingzi had returned, and quickly turned the screen to Han Jiaojiao. Look, you don't have to worry now. Han Jiaojiao stared at the message on the screen. She breathed a sigh of relief and felt a little sad at the same time. It seems that Teacher Zhang has been prepared for a long time. Teacher Zhang and Mr. Shen helped me a lot in this matter. I don't know how to pay it back. Without thinking, Pei Xinyuan comforted her and said, Sister 11 hates evil so much that she doesn't ask for anything in return. Don't be stressed. Recuperating well is the best reward for her. Han Jiaojiao nodded with a complicated mood. Yeah. Asterisk. Following Han Jiaojiao and others, Cheng Qian received the news of Bai Shenjiao's arrest. He was so shocked that he jumped up on the spot. Young Master Bai has been arrested. It's impossible. He is from the Bai family. How can he be arrested? His words were tough, but his trembling fingers and the cold sweat on the back of his forehead showed the panic in his heart. Bai Shenjiao has been arrested. Can he still escape? When he put the room card into Han Jiaojiao's hand, he didn't think too much about it. This is not the first time that he has done something that is tacitly understood between you and me. It was not until he heard the news that Han Jiaojiao jumped from the building that he began to feel scared. Afraid that things will get serious and end up involving oneself. I can only comfort myself that since Mr. Bai is in front, no one should notice his small role. But out of fear, he stopped making money through this operation, fell silent for a while, and secretly prayed that until the storm passed, his side would still remain calm. But now the person in front suddenly went in, and there was no news at all. The house leaks and it rains again. The agent's phone suddenly rang like a reminder. Cheng Qian looked at the buzzing and vibrating mobile phone on the table in front of him. For the first time in his life, he didn't want to pick it up and wanted to drop it. It wasn't until the phone automatically hung up because no one answered for a long time, and then called again, that he took a deep breath and pressed connect. You still know how to answer the phone. You must have heard about Mr. Bai, right? I told you to stop doing those immoral things behind the scenes all the time. Focus on acting is the right way. You must not listen. Now it's done. Brother Huang, I. Don't talk now, just listen to me. Director Wei has just informed me that the artist's personal ethics have been compromised according to the previous contract. The show has the right to unilaterally terminate the contract and require compensation from the artist who violated the agreement. I also received a rumor here that the actor for your role has been recast for reshoots. It seems that they chose this time to inform you. They probably knew about the bad things you did earlier. Can you refute it? You can only accept it. This is the fate of being lucky. By the way, the company just had a meeting and is planning to terminate your contract. It's your fault. Be prepared for double liquidated damages and take the initiative to come over before the police come to your door. This will also save both of you dignity. Snapped. The phone hangs up. Cheng Qian also lost all his strength and sat down on the ground. It's over, it's all over. But at this moment, he still couldn't figure it out. If Han Jiaojiao had this ability, she would not have asked her to take shortcuts and be forced to jump off the building. Who on earth can send Mr. Bai in? Asterisk. The first instance verdict in the Bai Shenjiao case came as quickly as ever. The boss of the Bai family wants to put an end to this matter as soon as possible, so that he can free up his hands to rectify the Bai family's industry, which has been greatly reduced during this period. No matter what evidence the police want, they all cooperate actively. Coupled with the unified petitions of several victims, they took the initiative to express their willingness to attend. The previous post about Han Jiaojiao jumping off a building and having an accident has also resurfaced. This time without Bai Shenjiao's money and pressure, the content exploded and directly triggered discussions on the entire network. With the push of many parties, the day of judgment has arrived in the blink of an eye. In the end, Tang Jiayun chose the latter between her grandson, who was likely to be unrescued, and the Bai family, which her husband left to her. In addition, after this incident, in order not to continue to be separated from her eldest son, she simply took the initiative to hand over her identity as the person in charge of the Bai family, and since then she has become a rich and wealthy old lady with no power. But once the hand loses power, it will inevitably make people uncomfortable, and they will immediately fall ill after handing over the power. On the day of the trial, she did not want to face her grandson and chose not to show up. But the eldest son of the Bai family, as the prosecutor, must be present. Before leaving, he looked at his mother, who was becoming increasingly lethargic and lifeless. He hesitated for a moment and reminded her, "Mom, today's court session will be broadcast live. Since you don't want to attendance and can watch at home, why is there still a live broadcast? Then the whole internet knows about their Bai family." The boss of the Bai family gave a wry smile, because the attention is so high, more than 90% of the people who voted before the trial wanted to live broadcast the trial. This is decided by the people and I can't stop it. It's getting late, Mom, I have to get there as soon as possible. Tang Jiayun watched her son leave in a hurry. After a long time, she closed her eyes and said, "Turn on the TV." End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 605. Zhang Lingzi opened the live broadcast room and took a look at the number of people displayed in the upper right corner. Nearly 100,000 people have already come in before the court session begins, and the number is still growing rapidly. She was unable to continue her leisurely life in Ziwan today, and was called to the company by Tongyu early in the morning. Because tomorrow is the day to set off to attend the International Fashion Festival. In Tongyu's words, there are still many people on the internet who are convinced by the pictures and texts of the fake invitation, so they will make a grand appearance tomorrow to give those who doubt it a hard blow. Seeing that she had obviously been holding back for the past few days and was preparing for a super rebound, Zhang Lingzi decided to cooperate. "Anyway, with your mobile phone in hand, You can watch the live broadcast anywhere. Lu Zhengzheng was called over and helped set up the barrage in the live broadcast room to ensure that the barrage could be seen, but the live broadcast screen would not be blocked by the barrage. By the way, I couldn't help but sigh, so many people have come in before it even started. It feels like it's even more popular than the live show. Zhang Lingzi nodded lightly. All entertainment headlines today have to give way to it. This is the biggest show for Bai Shenjiao, and it is also the last show in his life. 9 o'clock sharp. The trial officially begins. The number of people in the live broadcast room is close to 1 million. Everyone who had been busy trying on makeup stopped one after another and looked at the solemn trial scene in the live broadcast room. After all, it is an official live broadcast room, and the text in the barrage area is relatively restrained and civilized, but the criticism of Bai Shenjiao has never stopped. The old housekeeper stayed by Tang Jiayun's side, not even daring to watch TV. He only paid attention to the old lady's condition, fearing that she would faint if something went wrong. "Old madam, how about I turn off the barrage?" "No, it's turned off, it just means you can't see it, it doesn't mean they won't talk about it." "But doesn't it make you feel uncomfortable? The barrage is still not closed after all." The more uncomfortable Tang Jiayun felt, the more she wanted to watch, as if she was masochistically abusing herself. Until the judge declares the victim to appear in court. Everyone at the scene and in front of the live broadcast room first heard the sound of wheels rolling across the ground. As the camera moved over, they saw a total of 4 victims walking in from the door. Pei Xinyuan pushed Han Jiaoqiao, who was sitting in a wheelchair and had many scars on her face, to the front. At this time, anyone with eyes can see how serious the victims' injuries were. This was after several days of treatment and the incident. It was impossible to imagine how miserable it was at that time. Even the barrages that had been condemning him were shocked into silence for a moment. Tang Jiayun took a sharp breath. The barrage went blank for a moment before crossing over the text again. "I know the girl pushing the wheelchair. Wasn't she filming Empress Yuan Zhao before and did a live broadcast with other actors to promote it?" "Yes, the victim Han Jiaojiao is her good friend. She has not shown up during the promotion of the new drama. She must be taking care of Han Jiaojiao in the hospital." "No, only friends will take care of you. Where are Han Jiaojiao's family? Didn't you attend such an important occasion today without accompanying you? You didn't show up for such an important occasion, could you be an orphan? This experience, my nose is a bit sore. I can't imagine how desperate this girl was when she jumped off the 6th floor. I just want to say that Bai Shenjiao really deserves to die. I want to know if Han Jiaojiao can still stand up. Will she be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life?" The 3 girls at the back looked quite young, but their eyes looked aged, as if they were 50 or 60 years old. How much willpower they had to use to get out of the shadows. Let me also say, Bai Shenjiao deserves death. Their lives have been ruined by Bai Shenjiao, a scumbag, and they should ask for compensation from the Bai family. No amount is too much. These girls are very courageous. I heard that more people were victimized by Bai Shenjiao, but those girls had various concerns and were unable to attend. The 4 of them were both victims and representatives. Not everyone has the courage to face this kind of thing. Let me tell you, Bai Shenjiao deserves to die, he is such a scumbag. The barrage area became a lot more agitated due to the arrival of the victim, but the scene remained solemn and quiet, except for the Bai family boss, who gave his nephew a sharp look at his nephew, who was standing in the dock with his head lowered and unwilling to face all this. He had only heard that his nephew had caused harm to many girls' families, but he never expected that he had caused such misery to them. I don't know if the live broadcast will be turned on now, and how I feel when I see this scene. This is the grandson that you, the old man, protect with all your heart, but he is actually a scumbag. The victim's statement, the submission of evidence, the lawyer's defense, and all trial processes were carried out in an orderly manner under the live broadcast. Bai Shenjiao knew that he had been completely given up when he saw that his grandma did not appear in court and that his lawyer was a little-known figure. All thoughts are in despair. When he delivered the defendant's statement and looked at the camera in front of him, he finally raised his head, as if he wanted to look at someone guarding the live broadcast room through the camera. I am inferior to others, I admit defeat. The statement is over. What does the word scum mean? Admit defeat, who are you admitting defeat to? You should say a few more words. After a brief analysis, Bai Shenjiao came from the Bai family, and it took so many days before he was arrested and brought to justice. It is estimated that the Bai family must have tried to save him before, but the reality proved that he could not be saved. It is a bold guess that someone more powerful than the Bai family has taken action, but it is hard to guess who it is. The only people who know more about the inside story are probably people in the same circle as the Bai family. Does anyone watching the live broadcast know the inside story? Can you reveal it a little bit? It's not out of curiosity, I just want to praise this good man who upholds justice. Bold guess, is it possible that this righteous man has something to do with the victim? It feels unlikely. If these murdered girls are related to righteous people, would Bai Shenjiao dare to touch them? They are all poor girls with no background, and this Bai Shenjiao is a bully. Based on my many years of experience in reading novels, is it possible that a little princess who lives among the people is found by her family after being persecuted by a scumbag, and then the scumbag realizes that he has offended someone he cannot afford to offend? The person in front of me must be at least 10 years old. There are indeed many people who were watching the live broadcast now. After all, Bai Shenjiao's incident can be regarded as a wake-up call for everyone. There are many dandies in every family, but Bai Shenjiao did not go as far as he did. For a moment, everyone consciously retracted their shaky claws, at least to get over this tense moment. However, they did not dare to explain the confusion in the barrage area. They could only watch the live broadcast and communicate in a small internal group. Even the old lady from the Bai family was not present. It seemed that she had completely given up on her grandson. Bai Shenjiao probably won't be able to get out now. I think he deserves it, and I think the death penalty is possible. My parents asked me to be polite and respectful to Shen Yunqing before, but I didn't take it seriously. Now that I see what happened to Bai Shenjiao and the current situation of the Bai family, I decided to listen to my parents and walk around when I met Shen Yunqing. We have finally seen Shen Yunqing's methods this time. If you don't take action, you'll be killed. Should I say it or not, I almost brought down the Bai family because of being a little star. There is really nothing to say about Zhang Lingzi's charm. Who says it's not the case? It feels like it's not impossible for Zhang Lingzi to marry into the Shen family. This is not certain. It seems that the eldest lady of the Gu family also has some thoughts towards Shen Yunqing. He took the initiative to come over to us twice at dinner parties before, but he was not that enthusiastic towards us. Seeing that the discussion in the group was gradually going awry, with the two big bosses starting to get discussed, Mr. Yuan, who had been silently peeking at the screen, had no choice but to open the chat box and type a reminder, "Please calm down, please, this is prohibited in the future discussing Miss Zhang and Mr. Shen in the group. I will kick anyone who talks unscrupulously. I will do what I say this time and I will not compromise at all." After the message was sent out, young Master Yuan thought for a while and simply blocked those who took the initiative to mention Miss Zhang and Mr. Shen for a whole day, then put down the phone with a slight snort. It is true that the ignorant are fearless. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 606. Chapter 606. The final verdict is very satisfying. The court was quiet, and even the barrage area was empty for a while. Everyone was listening attentively to the solemn and powerful voice coming from the trial seat. The following sentence is hereby pronounced on Bai Shenjiao, and he is sentenced to fixed-term imprisonment based on. The sentence is completed. The sound of the hammer falling was heard, and the dust settled. The barrage area became active again. Great pleasure. I thought he would be sentenced to death directly. The sentence was less than 30 years, so it was easier for him. Bai Shenjiao is in his early 30s this year, and he will be almost 60 when he comes out. He is an old man. If you ask me, it would be better to just die and be done with it. I am quite satisfied with this verdict. For a person like him who spent his first half of his life pampered and well off, being in jail and working on a sewing machine for 30 years is probably more uncomfortable than death. If you want to come out, you have to hold on in prison first, otherwise you have to lie down and come out. What I am more satisfied with is property compensation. Although it cannot make up for the harm the victims have suffered, it can at least make their lives easier in the future. Well, it's just a token of comfort. Fortunately, the culprit has been punished, and no little girl will fall into his clutches again. Bai Shenjiao was escorted away like a zombie. When he walked to his uncle, he paused in his steps. The eldest son of the Bai family got up and was about to leave. When he went back, he had to sort out the mess left by his cheating nephew. He also had to find a way to properly settle the girls and their families who were harmed by his nephew. Now that the name of the Bai family has been ruined by his own nephew, he can only do what he can to restore the reputation. At this moment, he met his nephew's eyes with hatred, and he didn't even turn his eyes. Anyone who does evil will be punished. Shen Yu, you should take care of yourself. The sentencing has ended. Many people have already left the live broadcast room with satisfaction after getting satisfactory results, but there are also some who have not yet left. This Bai Shenjiao's uncle is quite upright in killing relatives. Although he was the one who reported Bai Shenjiao and gave the police a lot of evidence, Bai Shenjiao would not have been so arrogant if he had not been backed by the Bai family. He is not innocent either. Who knows if he gave up his car to save the handsome man? Didn't he say that someone more powerful was putting pressure on him before? He obviously couldn't stand it anymore, so he pushed his nephew out. Those who were banned by Mr. Yuan and could only stay in the live broadcast room, there are still many smart people in the world. But although the trial is over, the whole thing is not over yet. Soon, netizens saw a fresh announcement on the official account of the police station that was handling the case. The announcement not only detailed Bai Shenjiao's charges and sentencing results, but also included Lin, Yu, Cheng, and others who were listed as accomplices. Their sentences ranged from 3 to 10 years according to the listed crimes. At the bottom is a mugshot with a sign on the chest. Has a really big head, the kind with all the hair shaved off. Bai Shenjiao's live broadcast of the trial originally attracted the attention of the entire internet. As soon as this announcement came out, it received over 10,000 likes in an instant. Do you think the one in fourth place looks familiar? I thought I was wrong, I feel the same way. I have a photo here. The actor Cheng Qian is not a big hit, but he can be considered a capable actor. He plays more costume dramas and covers the top of his head. He is exactly the same as in the mugshot. There is also a certain Cheng on this announcement. I have a bold guess. Okay, I admit that I have it too. Does anyone know if this Cheng Qian has a twin brother or twin brother? You don't have to make any wild guesses. According to Zhilufeofan Entertainment's official website, Cheng Gan is no longer on the cast list they have announced, and his contract has probably been terminated. Well, Cheng Qian's account has also been blocked. So, this Cheng is Cheng Qian? There are several TV series that I like that have him in them. Isn't it possible that they will be taken off the shelves now? Either take it off the shelves, or re-edit it and put it up again. They all committed crimes and went to jail. We will definitely not let such people continue to appear in the public eye. Wait a minute, is this Cheng Qian also starring in Empress Yuan Zhao that will be aired soon? Can Empress Yuan Zhao still be aired during the Spring Festival as scheduled? No, if you call me again during the Chinese New Year, you'll just point to this TV series to pass the time. Many people swarmed to the official account of Empress Yuan Zhao to ask questions. The production's publicity department suddenly received a lot of private messages and inquiries. Sure enough, we still can't underestimate this generation of netizens, they discovered this too quickly. Have you prepared the notice for the character to call people? Once you have prepared it, send it out as soon as possible. Asterisk. Not long after Zhang Lingzi turned off the live broadcast, she received a call from Pei Zinyuan. Sister 11, Jiao Jiao and I came out of the court. Well, I watched the live broadcast. Can Jiao Jiao's body hold up? Pei Zinyuan looked at his friend sitting opposite him in a wheelchair. I'm really a little tired, but I'm in good spirits. When Han Jiao learned that Pei Zinyuan had called Zhang Lingzi, she held her breath and remained silent. However, her friend looked at what she was saying to the person on the other end of the phone and couldn't help but whisper, "Is Miss Zhang asking me?" Pei Zinyuan thought for a while and simply turned on the external speaker and put the phone between the two of them. Sister 11 was just concerned about your health. Han Jiao hurriedly cleared her throat. Thank you Miss Zhang for your concern. I'm fine now, in a good mood and in good spirits. Thanks to you this time, I want to treat you and Mr. Shen to a meal. I wonder if you have time. Zhang Lingzi's calm voice soon came from the microphone, making people subconsciously want to obey. Don't be in a hurry to eat. You should take good care of your body first, and then we can eat together when you are well. Okay, I'll listen to you. Pei Zinyuan shook her friend's hand and said, Sister 11 seems to be leaving for the International Fashion Festival tomorrow. The flight is tomorrow morning. Then I wish you a safe journey in advance and a bright future. Han Jiao followed up and said, Zinyuan and I are always paying attention online. Okay, I'll lend you your good words and go back and have a good rest. Hang up the phone. The two of them held each other's hands in silence for a moment on the car back to the hospital. Jiao, what are your plans after the injury is healed? Han Jiao was stunned for a moment by her friend's question. At the moment when the great revenge was avenged, she was indeed extremely excited. The mountain that she thought she couldn't move even with all her strength fell, and she no longer had to feel afraid. But after the excitement, a sense of emptiness spread. She is considered a disabled person now. Even if she has a chance to stand up in the future, she will no longer be able to run and jump as much as a normal person can. The job of being an actor is something you don't have to think about. Then what else can she do? Now I have a heart to accompany her and understand her, but no matter how close friends are, sooner or later they will part ways. Where will she go then? Pei Zinyuan suddenly asked this question just because he felt it. I'm not planning to go back to my hometown. I don't have any nostalgia for it anyway. Han Jiao looked far away and continued in a sleepy tone, I'm thinking that when I get out of the hospital, I'll go to the movie city or nearby. Find a store, open a shop and do some small business or something. When you are tired from filming in the film and television city, you can come to my shop and sit down and have a cup of coffee and chat. What do you think? Okay. Pei Zinyuan blinked back the tears that welled up. When I become famous, I will promote your store for free, and then customers will flock to me like clouds. Even if you have no choice but to compromise with your fate, you should try your best to live a happy life, my friend. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 607. Chapter 607 Assistant Shen takes office. Until the next morning, nearly 24 hours had passed, and the entries about Bai Shenjiao's case were still firmly occupying the top spot on the hot search list. Who makes this generation of netizens the most inquisitive? Although most people respect the girls who were victimized, there are some who, in order to gain popularity, do some random research and write about it and post it online. In addition, Bai Shenjiao and those accomplices no longer need to be respected. They can unearth as many as they can and put them all online. Not only can they condemn them with others, but they can also bring popularity and fans to their own accounts. Why not do it? Even Cheng Qian, who had always been tepid when he was an actor, made a separate hot search this time. It's just that he himself probably doesn't really want this hot search, because he clicked on the entry and looked at what he had done in the entertainment industry with the convenience of his identity. All the netizens in the comment area unanimously said that the 8-year sentence was it's too light, 10 years or more is enough. Some people are happy to see this trending search continue to be popular. The longer this trending search hangs, the more alarming it will be. Before you want to do bad things, you can think about this lesson. But some people are unhappy that the front row of hot searches is firmly occupied. My suggestion is, don't buy today's hot search. Bai Shenjiao's case is still attracting too much attention. It also involves actors from the upcoming drama Empress Yuan Zhao. It is estimated that it will take at least a day for the popularity to subside. Even if you buy it, you won't be able to get into the front row. It's a waste of money. I'm so annoyed that the court is not held in the early morning and the court is late in the evening. The court is chosen to be held at this juncture. It's for nothing that I have made so many preparations in advance. The team members were also helpless. There are actually quite a few celebrities in the domestic entertainment circle who have received invitations to international fashion festivals. There must be 50 or 60 if not hundreds. But only a dozen or so of them have international big-name endorsements and received invitations with their respective brand logos. These people are important enough. When traveling to fashion festivals, the private label party will help provide brand clothing, jewelry, etc., and all events will be properly arranged, which can be regarded as a butler-style all-round service. The rest are just titles such as brand friends. This status is much lighter than a spokesperson. The brand will send an invitation letter to save face and show a little care, but not too much care. There are even some who didn't even get an invitation letter because this year was not popular enough. The treatment gap between the two should not be too big. The former is that the brand relies on them for publicity, while the latter will have to bask in the brand's glory after they go there. So if you want to get a position, you have to find a way on your own. So many people spend a lot of time dressing up before departure. When they are awake, they take photos of the airport Reuters and buy some hot searches, so they can be listed on the list. Let's think about it on the bright side. We can't use this trick, and neither can others. And those who hold big name endorsements should be even more annoyed now. It should have been a chance to be in the front row of hot searches without any accident. Now the shock is gone. This is all I can do to comfort myself now, but I'm ready, and Reuters will take care of my hair when the time comes, so it's good to have some splashes. Not all the invited celebrities are in the same city, but most of them have purchased properties in the imperial capital, so the largest number of people set out from the imperial capital on this day. Wei Minmin has a high-end jewelry endorsement, and this time she was naturally jointly invited by international fashion festivals and endorsement brands. After learning that Zhang Lingzi also had an invitation letter, she originally thought about taking someone with her and setting off together. Not only was it because she had a familiar companion to chat with on the way, but she also thought that this was Zhang Lingzi and her team's first time participating in an international fashion festival. With her as an old man, they would be able to settle down when they arrived abroad. It can also be smoother and more comfortable. As for those on the internet who questioned whether Zhang Lingzi's invitation was forged, she simply scoffed without even reading it. Anyone can do such a thing, but not Zhang Lingzi. However, the same plan did not change as quickly. It was just that she received a temporary request from her old employer, and the day before she left, she urgently flew to another city to record a program to save the situation. After the recording of the program was finished, there was no time to go back to the imperial capital to meet up, so we had to fly directly there. Zhang Lingzi also received a special apology call from this girl. See you in the international fashion town then. Sister 11, see you there then. Zhang Lingzi listened to the airport announcement from Wei Minmin and hung up the phone. She turned around when she heard footsteps. Tong Yu came in from the outside and first glanced at Zhang Lingzi, who was sitting on a chair and looked casual, but in fact even the hairband on her head was carefully matched. Then she couldn't help but glance at the man standing beside her. Even if she is very low-key, she can still make people look at her. Cleared his throat, Ling 11, and Shen, Mr. Shen, the nanny car has been parked downstairs, we can set off. Zhang Lingzi put her cell phone in her pocket, stood up, and took out two silk-embroidered masks, one black and one white, from her pocket. She kept the white one for herself, and passed the black one to the side. Let's go. Shen Yunqing silently took it and put it on. This time I went abroad and had no freedom at home. The accommodation for all the guests was arranged by the organizer. Zhang Lingzi had no intention of being special after knowing this arrangement. But then a problem arises. The two people who had agreed to go to the festival together and take a vacation could no longer live together. Zhang Lingzi told Shen Yunqing about the organizer's arrangement. This is easy to handle. So, this time, among the team that followed Zhang Lingzi to the International Fashion Festival, there was an extra temporary assistant Shen Tong Yu, who was informed of this arrangement. She could only say, "You young people are still good at playing." But she was asked to change her name to Assistant Shen. She tried, but unfortunately she still couldn't. There are simply no outsiders now, so Mr. Shen should still call him that. Let's talk about it when there are outsiders around. The three of them took the elevator down. Zhang Lingzi is still leading her small team this time. Lu Zhengzheng and Fang Yao are assistants. Xiao Xiao and her assistant and apprentice are responsible for all the clothing and styling of Zhang Lingzi's trip. Together with her manager Tong Yu, compared to other for an artist team that often consists of a dozen or even 20 or 30 people, the number of people is really not that large. It is not surprising that there is another male assistant now. Just when the newly appointed assistant Shen showed up, the four people who were chatting and laughing in front of the nanny's car while checking and packing their belongings suddenly looked at each other, and they were too embarrassed to speak loudly. The four of them had been reminded by Sister Tong in advance, and they thought they would feel more comfortable meeting people when they were mentally prepared. But now it turns out that they still think too highly of themselves. No matter how low-key they dress, even wearing masks without even showing their faces, they still can't control their nervousness. Zhang Lingzi. It should get better as we spend more time together. Originally, the seat next to Zhang Lingzi in the nanny car was usually occupied by Tong Yu or Lu Zhengzheng, but this time, both of them silently gave up their seats to the newly appointed assistant Shen. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 608. Hi, good morning, family members. New Nan has arrived at the Imperial Capital Airport now. I wonder how many celebrities I can meet today. Is there any celebrity that the family wants to meet? If so, you can post it on the public screen. New Nan will try his best to accompany everyone to see you. In the live broadcast room, a girl wearing a cute college-style dress made a cute wink towards the camera. Seeing the rapidly increasing number of viewers in the upper right corner of the screen, the smile on his face suddenly became a little sweeter. Thank you family for the gifts, thank you very much. It's Noonan, the little rich woman. Is Noonan going to participate in the International Fashion Festival? I want to see my brother. I wonder if Lin Yan never sets out from the imperial capital? Wei Minmin just posted an update. She set off from Beijing. Please help Noonan to remind Wei Minmin fans at the imperial airport that they can evacuate. Zhang Lingzi, I want to know if Zhang Lingzi will show up today. +1. Add ID number. Looking at the background behind Noonan, will there be traffic jams at the Imperial Capital Airport today? I feel like there are a lot of fans, but it's a pity that I can only watch the live broadcast at work. Thanks to Nan Nan for opening the live broadcast, we can feast our eyes on it. I don't want to watch celebrities. Didn't the eldest lady of the Gu family also post her invitation letter online before? Her IP address is also in the Imperial City, and as expected, she also started from the Imperial City. Since Nan Nan's family is so well off, he should know the eldest lady of the Gu family, right? Wow, will we be able to see two rich ladies in the same frame later? Looking forward to. I was lucky enough to get an invitation letter to an international fashion festival. Hey, the real thing looks like this. Brother, are you talking about brother John Kaiwan? No problem, I met my brother at a banquet before in real life. He is as lively as what you see on the screen, without any airs. I don't know about Lin Yan, he has a bit of a cold temper, I'll give it a try when I see him. If I meet a fan of Wei Minmin, I will tell you. Zhang Lingzi, I'm not sure whether she will show up. If she does, she will definitely meet the family's requirements. Today's Imperial Capital Airport is indeed quite crowded. However, this time the airport has opened special passages and dedicated waiting rooms for those attending the festival. It should not cause traffic congestion. However, fans who are far away should not be able to get close to you. Idle. Seeing the last question listed by the assistant, Zeng murmured and his smile froze slightly. I'm not very familiar with Gucci and Tong. After all, you all know that she just returned to China not long ago, and I've never met her before. Woolen cloth. Okay, I'm going to check in and go to the waiting room now. Now I'll show you what the special passage looks like. The camera cut to a distant view. Zeng murmured and breathed a sigh of relief as he watched the comments quickly passing by in the live broadcast room. He raised his head and waved to the assistant makeup artists who were surrounding him, then turned off the microphone fastened to his collar. My makeup is a little messed up, please touch it up quickly. Just now, she saw that some audience members asked her to go over and say hello after meeting the eldest lady of the Gu family, and she suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. What kind of person is she? She can't get in front of others at all. Fortunately, the circle has passed. Just when Zeng murmured to his assistant to wipe away the sweat and asked the makeup artist to touch up her makeup, Zhang Yao walked up to her and said, "Then I'll go in first." Zeng Mumun was retouching his lipstick when he heard the sound and glanced at him, humming slightly. When Zhang Yao left with his suitcase, the assistant hesitated for a moment but couldn't help but said, "Sister Nan Nan, it's not easy for us to get this invitation letter this time. Why do we need to get involved in the turmoil between Zhang Yao and Zhang Lingzi? If you regret it now, it's still not too late." "Okay, stop talking." Zeng muttered and scolded the assistant back, lowered his eyes and bit his lip. "Do you really think she wants to agree to Zhang Yao's request? I only blame myself for being so excited after getting the invitation letter that I forgot to block some people when I posted it to Moments. Nowadays, not many people know her details, but Zhang Yao is the one who saw her circle of friends. If he doesn't agree, Zhang Yao will expose the past details, and the account he has worked so hard to manage will be ruined. Zhang Yao now even dares to openly question the star Zhang Lingzi, and she doesn't dare to take a gamble. During the live broadcast, isn't it just to let the audience in the live broadcast room pay attention to Zhang Lingzi's movements? It should be, nothing will happen. Asterisk. Tong Yu looked through the car glass at the fans who were surrounded outside. There are so many people on a working day. Zhang Lingzi had just put on her hat and mask. When she heard her voice, she looked over and saw someone holding a light sign with her name on it. She frowned and said, "It would be a bit dangerous if there is pushing and shoving." "That won't happen." Tong Yu looked away and shook the airline text message she received not long ago on her phone. We are going to use a special channel this time. The main reason is that there are a lot of celebrities departing from the imperial capital this time. For safety reasons, it has been opened. 2 hours. So, fans are waiting here and can't see anyone. Well, there is nothing we can do about it, safety is the most important thing. Click. Zhang Lingzi took a selfie of herself with her mobile phone. Then he lowered his head and tinkered for a while. When the car stopped at the entrance of the special passage, Tong Yu and others, who were about to get off, heard their cell phones ring almost at the same time. Take it out and take a look. The Zhang Lingzi you are following has just posted a new update. Click to open. Zhang Lingzi V, take the special passage. It's cold, so everyone should go back. Attached is a selfie with a hat and a mask at a casual angle. Tong Yu, it's rare to see you post an update, but forget it. I'm done here. Compared with ordinary passages, the special passages can be said to be sparsely populated. Anyway, they were the only ones who walked all the way to the crew members waiting at the end of the passage. Lu Zhengzheng couldn't help but ask, "Are we late?" "No," the security staff member replied good-naturedly, "there were 2 teams passing by just now, and it just so happens that you are the only one here." "Oh, that's good." The crew also helped check in the luggage, and the few of them were led towards the waiting room. "So quiet. This is my first time here." "Me too, it seems that this area is not open to the public under normal circumstances." "Then let's follow Sister Zixi and get the glory this time." With Lu Zhengzheng and the other girls whispering and exclaiming, the team was finally led by the crew to the terminal at the end. As the door was pushed open, what came into view was the huge space and pairs of eyes looking toward the door. "There are still 1 hour and a quarter before the plane takes off. Please have a good rest. We will come over to remind you half an hour before departure." "Thank you for leading the way." Zhang Lingzi turned her head and thanked the dedicated staff, then walked in first in front of everyone's attention. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 609. The waiting room is very large. Even though there were quite a few people inside, it still seemed very empty. I met him at the UN charity dinner before. When Zhang Lingzi passed by, I nodded politely, and Zhang Lingzi responded briefly. Generally speaking, many people look familiar, but not many are familiar with them. There is no need to stop and say hello. There were still some people who couldn't hide their surprised looks for a while. Needless to say, these people believed the questioning post on the internet. Zhou Lingyu is the most obvious one. She looked at Zhang Lingzi who was walking towards her, and then looked at the people following Zhang Lingzi. Her expressions were first surprised, then frowning, and she hesitated to speak, all taking turns. Zhang Kaiwen was originally sitting on the sofa opposite wearing headphones and playing games. Suddenly he raised his head and noticed her changing expression, and subconsciously turned his head to take a look. After seeing the person clearly, his eyes suddenly lit up. Without thinking, he raised his hand and waved, "Sister 11. Zhang Lingzi, who was still preparing to walk further in to feel cleaner. Originally, in addition to people relaxing quietly in the waiting room, reading books and playing with their mobile phones, there were also people chatting together or eating in the dining area next door. Now everyone was attracted by this guy's loud voice. Seeing that she was about to speak, Zhang Lingzi had no choice but to put her index finger to her mouth and gesture. Zhang Kaiwen quickly swallowed the words that came to his mouth when he saw this. When he realized what was happening, he quickly took off the headphones, and the volume finally returned to normal. "Sister 11, you are here." Zhang Lingzi glanced at Zhou Lingyu, who was sitting opposite him and looked a little stinky. She just nodded and hummed at John Kaiwan's warm greeting, then passed the two of them and continued walking inside. John Kaiwan originally wanted to invite him to sit here, but when he saw that John Lingzi didn't stop, he had to swallow his words and watched helplessly as she led her team several meters further in before sitting down. Why is there a man this time? Haven't seen it before. He actually sat directly next to Sister 11. The location John Lingzi chose is two sets of semi-circular sofas, one for 3 people and the other for 5 people, surrounded by coffee tables of different heights, one large and one small. She sat down in the middle of the 3-person seat, with Shen Yunqing on her right and her left side empty. Because Tong Yu consciously squeezed to the opposite side with Lu Zhengzheng and the others. Seeing John Lingzi leading the team to sit down, the eyes around him gradually withdrew. It's just that private discussions are probably inevitable. Fang Yao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Although most of the glances just now were directed at our own artists, following Sister 11 was a bit stressful. Would you like some water? John Lingzi turned her head to meet Shen Yunqing's eyes and blinked. Does this person really think of himself as an assistant? Have a drink. Shen Yunqing looked to the opposite side again. Tong Yu quickly waved her hand. No, I'm not thirsty. If I'm thirsty, I can just go by myself later. Others also shook their heads hurriedly. They are crazy enough to ask this person to pour water for them. Shen Yunqing stood up and walked towards the tea drinking area. This is the dining area. In the waiting room there are quite a lot of varieties. It should be as good as the self-service quality of a 5-star hotel. Zhen murmured while introducing some salad. If I had known about breakfast, I wouldn't have eaten it. I came here to help everyone taste it. Woo, a delicious food attack has come in the morning. No, there are so many delicious things, and you actually only got some lettuce leaves? Is this the treatment that VIP passengers can enjoy? I have to work hard to earn money and try to have a meal in this waiting room one day. I don't know if this is considered promising. Camera, I just caught a handsome guy with a superb figure and temperament. Move over here quickly. Damn, I saw it just now, it flashed by. Please be smart about the camera. No matter how beautiful the food is, we can't eat it, but the handsome guy can look at it more. Zhen Murmur was reminded by the assistant holding the live broadcast camera next to him, and frowned and turned his head to look over. Your eyes suddenly lit up. The other person looks like he is making tea. Although the various materials in the tea drinking area are rich, the equipment is relatively simple, and there are even teas that have been brewed and placed on a thermal insulation board that can be poured and drank at any time. Most people will drink this for convenience, and few people will choose to drink it themselves. Come take a dip. The man's slender fingers were holding a transparent glass cup at the moment. After cleaning it, he warmed the cup with hot water. While warming the cup, he picked out one of the bags of vacuum-packed tea leaves on the side, tore it open and poured it into the warm glass. After shaking it, I started to fill it with water. The whole process is smooth and meticulous. Obviously this is the tea drinking area for waiting at the airport. I almost thought I was in a tea room. Although the conditions are a bit rudimentary, for the tea making technique, I just want to say that I can't give you a complete set of tea sets. Looking here, he must be a star, right? Celebrities in the industry who know how to make tea, well, I guess not. I really want to see my face under the mask. Mumyu, would you like to go over and say hello? Zhen murmured with some hesitation. After she just came in, she shamelessly picked a few celebrities who were not big names and were rumored to have good tempers, and went over to say hello briefly. The other party probably saw that she could come in. She also had an invitation letter in her hand, and she could leave the country, so she responded somewhat. But she really didn't know who the person in the tea drinking area was. Furthermore, although the other party has an elegant temperament, she is inexplicably afraid to get close to him. but the voices in the live broadcast room were getting louder and louder, so she simply felt relieved and took a tentative step towards the tea drinking area. By chance, the tea in the other person's hand was ready. While picking it up, he turned his head slightly and glanced this way. Qingzhan's slightly indifferent eyes immediately shattered the courage that Zhen Nanan had finally mustered up. His footsteps were also frozen in place, and he could only watch the other party leave without haste. When the other party walked some distance away, she relaxed the breath she was holding in her heart and rubbed her face to relieve her tension. "It seems that the gentleman doesn't want to be disturbed," she said, trying to smooth things over, and smiled at the camera. "Then I'd better not bother you." The audience in the live broadcast room was not as shocked as she was. After all, the pressure at that time was mainly directed at Zen Mutter, who wanted to come forward and say hello. "Please turn the camera. I think I saw Zhang Lingzi when the camera followed me just now. True or false? Is Zhang Lingzi really here? Quick, 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 I want to see." Zen Mutter's heart skipped a beat, and he encouraged himself to look over again with the camera. They saw that the man who had just been making tea in the tea area was standing next to Zhang Lingzi, who was sitting on the sofa. He was bending over to put the teacup in his hand on the coffee table in front of Zhang Lingzi, and then sat down gracefully. "The tea is so-so, just drink it." "It's okay." Zhang Lingzi picked up the teacup and blew on it. She was about to take a sip when she suddenly raised her eyes and looked in the direction where she had murmured. Zeng, who was caught again, murmured. She almost wanted to curse. How could these two people be so sharp? They could detect it even from such a distance. After giving a warning to the camera over there and seeing the other party move away, Zhang Lingzi took a sip of tea and was about to put down the cup when she saw the door to the waiting room was pushed open again. "Miss Gu, please come in." Gu Jiantong glanced at the many people sitting in the waiting room, frowned, and thought that she would be able to board the plane in an hour. In the end, she suppressed the idea of changing to the lounge. She stepped on stilettos and carried many people behind her. A team of 30 people walked in a mighty manner. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 610. Although Zhang Yao asked Zhen Nanan for help, he himself could not enter the special passage and the specially opened waiting room, so he could only watch Zhen Nanan's live broadcast in the ordinary waiting room. The moment he saw Zhang Lingzi appear in the live broadcast room, he couldn't hold back and almost shouted. Zhang Lingzi actually appeared. He was flustered for a moment, and then quickly comforted himself. Zhang Lingzi must have taken advantage of someone else by being there now, and the invitation was definitely a forgery. It's just that there are already different voices in the live broadcast room. Some people have begun to question his post, so he typed it quickly. Zhang Lingzi must have taken advantage of someone else, she didn't have an invitation letter herself. But just after the comment was posted, the live broadcast room has changed the topic again. The eldest lady is here. The eldest lady's aura is 2.8 meters tall. Is this the pomp and circumstance of rich people traveling? I just counted the entourage, there are 30 in total, and there are 6 bodyguards. Abstracts are no better than those at home, especially for Miss Gu, bodyguards are definitely a must. At this moment, I was compared with the stars in the circle. There is no comparison at all, okay. What the eldest lady represents is capital. Look at the eldest lady, they even took the initiative to say hello when they passed by them. Who else could have such treatment? The further you go, the quieter you get. Her steps didn't suddenly stop until she reached Zhang Lingzi's seat. The 30-person team following him naturally stopped. The buffet looks delicious. It should be free, right? Anyway, I still have time, do you want to try it? Lu Zhengzheng was biting her ears with Fang Yao, encouraging her to eat with him. As he spoke, he suddenly felt a thorn in his back. When he subconsciously looked back, his head was spinning. She naturally noticed it when Miss Gu came over just now, but there were two giant Buddhas sitting in front of her, so she was naturally not as shocked as others, so she looked away after taking two glances. This, who's going to tell her why people stopped here and didn't leave? The road was blocked tightly, how could she get there to get food? Ms. Zhang came early. Zhang Lingzi took a sip of tea slowly and put down the cup before responding in a cold tone, "Fortunately, I'm only a quarter of an hour ahead of you. Ms. Zhang came by yourself. Otherwise." Gu Jiantong smiled and wanted to pick up his feet and continue walking forward, but couldn't help but cast his eyes on the person sitting next to Zhang Lingzi again. She noticed this person when she first saw Zhang Lingzi. He looked like a bodyguard or assistant, but he gave her a very strange feeling. That's right, the other party didn't even give her a look from beginning to end. "Ms. Zhang, is this your bodyguard or your assistant?" Zhang Lingzi was helpless to be noticed even though he was so low-key. "My man, does it have anything to do with you? Have you got nothing to do?" Such a detailed question. Gu Jiantong didn't have a very good temper. Now that he was being scolded like this in front of so many people in the waiting room, he immediately suppressed the desire to explore that emerged in his heart and said, "Let's go." There is no far away, Zhang Lingzi has already been in this position. In addition, there are a lot of people in Gu Qintong's team, and the sofa seats in the innermost area are full. The closest thing to Zhang Lingzi is a set of sofas. There were a lot of low-pitched discussions in the area outside. Zhou Lingyu also looked incredulous at this moment. Zhang Kaiwen only focused on playing games, but she also had an agent and people in her team. At this moment, he couldn't help but turn his head and said to his agent, "Is Zhang Lingzi crazy? How dare you attack Miss Gu like this?" But the agent was also surprised and couldn't give her an answer for a while. After two pairs of surprised eyes looked at each other for a moment, the manager came back to his senses and said, "Maybe he is relying on something. If we meet again, I think we should be more polite for the time being." Zhou Lingyu suddenly looked reluctant. "I am her senior in the industry." "Then do you dare to confront Gu Jiantong like Zhang Lingzi just did?" Zhou Lingyu suddenly stopped talking. The other person's fingers were leaking hundreds of millions. Over the years that he has been in the entertainment industry, his savings on hand are not as large as others. What to compare it with? But Zhang Lingzi. Why should she? Asterisk. The audience in the live broadcast room did not see the scene just now. After Gu Qintong's bodyguard noticed that a camera was secretly filming, he decisively went over to stop it. Zheng muttered and was scared for a second. Even though her account number is called Noonan Little Rich Woman, and she is indeed not short of money, the word rich woman also has a certain meaning. Compared with Gu Jiantong, a super rich woman, she doesn't even count. It seems that Miss Gu pays more attention to privacy. Let me take everyone to see which celebrities are not here. Brother, I saw that my brother has been playing games, so I didn't bother him. I will try again after he finishes playing. Try it? Gu Jiantong didn't even bother to pay attention to the fact that someone was quietly broadcasting a live broadcast in the waiting room. The people under her command would naturally handle it without her instructions. After sitting down and taking the juice from the assistant, she couldn't help but glance in Zhang Lingzi's direction again. "Have you found it? What's going on?" The organizer just sent a reply, saying that some of the special invitations were indeed sent out separately. Zhang Lingzi's should be one of the special invitations, but because the important content has been mosaicked, they are not 100% sure. I just found out that Zhang Lingzi only came with her team and no one else, so I speculate that her invitation letter should be genuine. Who will send her a special invitation? Gu Jiantong felt depressed. What she didn't get was given to a little star, and the man sitting next to him. I stopped before I finished speaking, mainly because I didn't know how to describe that feeling. It's very inconsistent anyway. Then let me go and check it out. Gu Jiantong hesitated for a few seconds, then nodded. She really couldn't suppress the curiosity in her heart. Why did she suddenly pay so much attention to an assistant? It's easy to check this. The Gu family's identity is quite useful. After some communication, the assistant successfully obtained the list information of Zhang Lingzi's team. But when it was delivered to the hands of her eldest lady, she rarely hesitated. Why, it wasn't found. No, just, miss, you'd better see for yourself. Gu Jiantong took the tablet, his eyes passed over Zhang Lingzi's name, and then settled on the name printed below. Shen Yunqing. She couldn't hold it back and sat up from the sofa suddenly. She looked up in disbelief at the person sitting quietly next to Zhang Lingzi. Now I finally understand where that feeling of dissonance came from. The dignified head of the Shen family actually became an unknown assistant with Zhang Lingzi this time. Is there anything more outrageous than this in the world? End of chapter.